Greetings, how you guys doing? It's another Friday. And I want to thank you guys, first of all, as usual, for being such loyal subscribers. And those of you who haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe to my channel. It's free, it's totally free, it doesn't cost you anything. And if you like the videos and like the content that I'm posting, then please give me a like. Hit the notification bell so you can know when I post content. But thank you again for joining me for yet another part 5, ship life. Before we get into ship life, I want to thank you guys for the support of the last video. Like I said, I wanted to do something special for you guys, and I brought in my boy Dennis Warrington. So thanks and big up to Dennis Warrington. I brought in my boy Omar Tomlinson on the board to help me out with this part of this special, and I realized that you guys are loving it. So thanks for all the comments, thanks for all the views, and all the people who reach out to me personally and commended me and encouraged me to get back to singing. So like I say, for now I will be doing some of those on my channel. So if you want to see me sing, you're gonna have to, subscribe to the channel, and we're gonna be doing a lot more of that. Me and my boy Dennis and Omar, and I might even do a drum cover for you guys one of those days. So stay tuned for that. But yeah, we're gonna get into part 5 today, and interesting part 5, ship life. Oh wow, I made some notes, guys, because I didn't want to forget. Because this one can be a bit intense, so I had to make some notes so I don't shoot myself in the foot, because so much happened within that 3 years on ship. Get my notes for you guys. It was a very interesting, wild moment of my life, I should say. I enjoy every moment of it to the fullest. Whatever that means to you, I don't know, but yeah, so let's get into it. Ship life. So like I said, in part 4, I had a van, a taxi, a bus, whatever you want to call it, Greyhound. And right when I sold the taxi, I got a call from my boys, Richie, Joel, and Elijah, who were on a cruise ship at the time and needed a drummer. So they called me up and asked me, if I'm still drumming. I'm like, yeah, interesting for me. It was like a moment in my life where I felt like it was time to do something different, and if you follow my story, you realize I have those pivotal moments in my life where I do something for a while and then I feel like it's time to step up. And that was one of those moments. And I felt like the bus getting sold was just a sign for me that, okay, it's probably time to do something different. It was a big decision for me. My son, like I said, was 9 months old at the time, Rakim. And so it took a lot of thinking and a lot of, analyzing as to whether that was the best move. But I felt in my spirit that that was what I had to do at that time. So I made up my mind that, okay, I'm gonna take the opportunity. And like I said, music was always a big part of me and really dear to me and a real passion. So I felt like, okay, that was a calling for me to start to really pursue music, and I did that. Again, like I said, a really challenging move for me, because at that time I had never left the Caribbean before. I had been to a few Caribbean islands, but I'd never left the Caribbean before. And for me to have gone on ships, I would have to travel from Dominica to Galveston, Texas, which is where the ship was at the time, on my own, by myself. So it was challenging for me, but I was like, you know what, I can do this. So we worked on all the necessary paperwork I had to do in medicals and all that kind of stuff. I had to go through the whole process. And finally, I got the job, and they sent me the ticket and all that kind of stuff. So I flew from Dominica to Puerto Rico, and then took a big plane. At that time, it was to me, that was like the biggest plane I had seen. I think there was 4 seats in the center, 3 seats on each side, and a straight flight from Puerto Rico to Galveston, Texas. I think it was 12 hours flying. It was either 10 or 12 hours flying, I don't remember exactly. And at that time, I had no iPod, I had no iPad, because I think it was iPod was the thing then. I had no Walkman, no Discman. I had nothing, nothing to listen to music. I think I must have got an earbud or a headphone on the plane. That was the most I had. Luckily, that plane was one of the big planes, so I think you could watch movies. There was a TV for, I think like every 5 rows had a TV that you could watch. So luckily for me, but I was bored to death on this flight. You know, at one point I went to the back of the plane and started talking to the hostess. We become friends. She started giving me some drinks because it's like a 12-hour flight. Like, what are you gonna do? And the plane wasn't even that filled. But it was a really, really, you know, challenging but good experience for me. And you know, I just read my way through it. You know, because you know, you get into Puerto Rico, then they had to bring you in a room where they have to call the ship to clarify that all the paperwork that you have is legit and all that kind of stuff. And so it was a little frightening experience, but it was a really good experience. So I got to ships. I remember when I got to the ship, you know, back in those days, sac poche, Lacoste sac poche used to be the thing. So I had my Lacoste sac poche. I come on the ship with my Lacoste sac poche, and those guys started laughing at me, like ask me what happened if I still think I drive in boss and all that kind of thing. Joel was taking a whole bunch of kicks on me if I think I still drive in boss and that kind of thing. Because I come with my sac poche bus, check. I don't have my passport until to get lost. First time I traveling outside the US, you know, so I want to make sure that, you know, everything's secure, so I have my sac poche. You know, now those things come back right back around, and I think sac poche might be in style again. But yeah, so I got to ships, and the first week was pretty challenging for me. Again, a new experience. You know, meeting different people from different walks of life. I think there were like 72 different nationalities on the ship. You know, and adjusting to ship life at the same time, you have X amount of training that you have to do, because remember, again, I was brand new on ship, so I had to do all the training that was required to stay on the ship, and then still adjusting to ship life. You know, coming from Dominica at that time, you know, it was a very new, shocking experience for me. I remember the first night when I went to the crew bar. The crew bar is an area where the crew members have their own bar on the ship. Those guys took me to the crew bar, you know, I just reached out fresh, you know, let's go have a drink. You know, I went there and I saw two guys kissing, and I was like, hey guys, I think I gotta go back in my cabin, you know, because that was like new for me. I was like, nah, bro, I ain't think I'm ready for that yet. You know, fast forward, you know, I get to understand that, you know, all these things are, you know, a part of one's personality, and if they choose to do that, then you should be okay with it. But it took me a little while to digest, you know, and I just brought this up as an example of some of the things that I had to adjust to culturally, you know, and so, but you know, I really adjust myself really, really quick on ships, because that's just who I am. You know, I feel like I can survive in almost any environment, and ship was no different for me. Yeah, and I remember getting to Galveston, Texas. I don't remember exactly what month it was, but I knew for a fact, I know that it was cold, or it was getting cold. And again, like I said, first time coming from the Caribbean, you know, which most of the time is somewhere between 82 to 89 or maybe 90 degrees. In going into like 40s and 30s, that was like a new thing for me, you know. So I remember that was quite an experience. But even now, I think my body has kind of acclimated, and I can now. I rather cold than hot. I can't do very hot. I get pretty anxious if I'm in a hot space. But I can do cold, you know, because I feel like you can always layer up, but when you're hot, it's hard for you to layer down. So, and I know that doesn't make sense because I'm from the Caribbean and hot should be my thing, but I really can't do hot. So I acclimated very, very well to the cold. But I remember a couple of times, you know, I was freezing my Royal Rastafarian ninnies, you know, like they would say in the movies. Yeah, and I remember those guys, you know, my boy Elijah and Richie and Joel, you know, those guys really showed me the ropes. You know, they were good buddies, I would say, good roommates, and you know, the ship life. They really showed me how to adjust myself. You know, we had lots of fun, man, lots of fun. I mean, think about having to work 3 hours a day. First of all, think about being a Rasta man with locks. My locks wasn't that long then, but I started growing my hair already. A Rasta man with locks on a ship. You're fresh. You're just rich. People just start to see your face. You're working for 3 hours a day. And the rest of the day, you have that to frolic and have riotous living. Whatever that means. So, I don't have to go into details to tell you guys how much fun I had on a cruise ship. But a really important thing that cruise ship did for me, among a lot of things, I mean, again, like I said, helped me to adjust to different cultures, you know, experiencing different cultures and having Filipino friends and having Jamaican friends and having friends from Czech Republic, and some of them I still talk to them even today, having friends from Denmark, Africa, you know. Apart from that, my musical side started to really evolve because there were all kind of different bands on the cruise ship. And I'm not gonna go through all the details, but I think I did 4 or 5 different cruise ships within my 3 years of crew life, I call it. So, I mean, you can imagine, you know, every ship, it's a different atmosphere, it's a different cultural background, I would say. You know, I did a ship from Puerto Rico, so it was Spanish. I did a ship from Miami. I did a ship from Long Beach, California, Texas, like I said. So all these different ships, you know, they bring different elements. And what I really kind of gravitated to was learning different styles of music. Because, for example, when we were on the ship from Puerto Rico, you know, the Spanish music was a big thing because, you know, the audience was a Spanish audience. The passengers at the time was from Puerto Rico. Most of them were from Puerto Rico, although you had a lot of Americans flying from America and taking the ship from Puerto Rico. But a vast majority of the crew members and not crew members, but the passengers were Spanish oriented. So that helped me to kind of understand you know, the salsa and the merengue, and you're hearing that all the time. You kind of understand, you know, a little bit of those music. I can play a little bit of, I can dabble a little bit in those music right now because of that experience. Then you have the Filipino bands, which is the funniest thing ever. Most of the Filipino bands, those guys can't speak no English, but they sing in all the English songs, word for word, and you would never know that they can't speak English unless they stop singing. So it's the funniest thing ever, and I don't remember exactly what ship it was. Richie and those guys can tell me a little in the comment section which ship it was. That at one point there was one of the bands had I think they had an emergency. I think it was a Filipino band. They had an emergency and they had to leave the ship for a little bit, and they asked us to fill in for them when they were at the lounge that they were playing, because we were the Calypso band. We played on the deck. We played on the Lido deck. So we would play the Caribbean oriented music, reggae, you know, the soca, because we were like, they call us the Calypso band. So we would play for like C-Day. For C-Day we'd play like 4 hours, but most of the other days we'd play for 3 hours. So it was another new experience again. You know, we took the challenge on to play the lounge music. So we had to go and learn some songs, you know, Frilly the Birds and Frilly the Birds. What do you call that song, Joel? To the Bird or something like that. You had to learn, I remember. Or Yellow Bird. We had to go and learn the Yellow Bird song and all that kind of stuff. It was a really, really, really cool experience, you know, although those guys didn't really like to practice. And I'll put them on blast a little bit. They didn't really like to practice. So most of the time, you know, I think I had to force them, you know, I'd be like, yo, we need to do a practice, boy. Because I kind of get fed up of playing the same songs all the time. And so I think we did a couple of practices on the ship and, you know, and get our foot wet. But majority of the songs, you know, I just fall right in and start, you know, I start learning them, you know, on the gig basically. You know, and then I start doing a little bit of singing and playing. And that's where my singing and playing skills start to really sharpen, because before that, when I was back home, I used to sing and play, but I used to do like more backing up. But when I got to the ship, you know, I started doing some songs myself, and at first it was kind of really challenging. I could only do, you know, certain songs, and I couldn't do certain songs because, you know, you have to breathe and you have to play. But after a while, you know, as a drummer, you kind of don't have to think about what you're doing because it's muscle memory, and your body will keep, you know, doing what it needs to do. And so the only thing you have to think about is the singing part. And after a while, when you get used to it, you don't even have to think about anything. So now I can almost do, well, I haven't done this for a while, but now I feel like I can almost do any song really, you know, singing and playing it if I know the song. But you know, like I say, ship life was, you know, very, very exciting for me, very, very exciting for me. I had this thing I used to do, when we go on a new ship, I would take about a month to learn the ship, you know, so I would do very little going out, and I would take about a month to learn the ship. And after that, I go on the loose. I ain't gonna tell you all about it, but y'all figure it out. Elijah and I'm Joel and Richie, you know, they got my back. They ain't gonna spill no beans because we all got beans on one another. But I remember this crazy experience on ship that I'm gonna share with you guys. There was lots of crazy experiences, but I'm gonna share this one with you all. The first time I smoked a cigar. Wicked Elijah. So Wicked Elijah brought me to the cigar bar. Elijah was versed in smoking cigar. And Wicked Elijah, I call him Wicked because he's my boy and I can call him that now, didn't give me the crash course for smoking cigar. So I had smoked before, but not cigar. So I just figured smoking is smoking. You know, so those guys brought me to the cigar bar. First of all, they didn't tell me don't put on my good clothes to go to the cigar bar because the scent of the cigar will just stay in the clothes forever. And then those guys gave me no information, no heads up as to what's up with the cigar smoking thing. So my fast self in the cigar bar, smoking cigar like it's weed. And nobody telling me nothing. I think I saw Elijah looking at me a couple of times, but nobody is saying anything to me. Because those guys, they're wicked like that. They're gonna make you learn the hard way. So anyway, all good and well, I get my little niceness from the cigar. Obviously, I'm gonna get a little niceness because I have the cigar smoking like it's weed. Go down in the cabin, boy, feeling real dread, boy. Anyway, I figure, okay, I end up falling asleep. Get up next morning, all under my teeth, stained with cigar. First of all, I think I woke up throwing up. Had a hangover, terrible hangover, maybe the worst hangover ever. And the throw up, and I don't want to gross anybody out, but it was pure cigar. That stain under my teeth. And I swear I stayed on the ship for maybe 2 months, and I can still take the cigar taste. My teeth was still what they call, Dominica we say glassy. I don't know what's the word that they use in wherever part of the world like you're from, but Dominica we call it glassy. My teeth was glassy for 2 months, you know? And then those guys started laughing at me and blah, 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 blah. I don't think I smoked cigar much after that. Maybe I think I did maybe a couple of taff or two, but it was never my kind of like a thing. But and then this bad experience, I learned from my bad experiences. So I never smoked cigar like that. But I remember my really interesting days on ship in terms of, I would say in terms of like really enjoying ships and what you can really get from a ship, which is, you know, visiting so much places. Because half of the time when we went out, when I was with Elijah and Joel and Richie, half of those times, you know, we just used to go to a bar and like on our day off or when the ship docks and drink and get back. But I remember my last contract, my brother did that contract with us. because at that time the ships were starting to get a little bit of a, I would say, sort of like a reform, and so they were already start to talk about dropping the bands to like 2 people and that kind of stuff, and so my brother was on the ship. He was playing it for another band, and they had done their last contract. They weren't going back to ships. So he decided he was going to stay with us for the last contract, and we kind of figured it out. And he stayed with us for the last contract, and that was when I really had, you know, I would say a discovering kind of a fun. So the fun at first was the partying fun. And then when my brother came in, we went into like discovery mode. So every time the ship docked, we went on an excursion. I remember we went bike riding. I don't remember if we did horseback riding once. But we went up the Panama Canal, and lots of, you know, going and see crocodiles and all that kind of stuff. And lots of stuff that we did together as brothers, you know, which was different from what I had used to be doing with Richie and them. You know, those guys, they're like boys, but they like to fire. They like their waters, you know. You call it Dominica. They like their rum. So, you know, so we used to drink a lot when I was with them. But when Darren came in, Darren do drink a lot too, but he was, you know, the adventurous. Is the adventurous type, you know. So we had lots of fun, you know, going lots of places, and I would say that 6 months was the 6 months I kind of really discovered the places that we were going on ship. And I was like, to a certain extent, I was like, man, I wish Darren was there with me the whole time, because, you know, I would have still party, because Darren likes to party too. Darren is the party animal. But, you know, we would have a good balance of partying and discovering, you know, other islands. And I remember it was really fun. I remember one time we went bike riding, man. I don't remember where it was, man. It could have been, I don't remember. Darren can tell me in the comment section if you remember, man. And while everybody is riding normal, me and Darren, like as if we're almost competing, you know? So we do all kind of crazy stuff, all kind of crazy stuff with the bicycle, while everybody else is just riding normal, you know? But that's the kind of person Darren is. Darren is always going to do something different from everybody else, you know? But my ship life was, like I say, pretty mind-opening for me. And I would tell any musician that if you have the opportunity to go on ship, you should do that, because it opens up your mind musically to other different styles of music, other cultures, and it really gives you a different perspective on life generally, and just seeing, you know, how people have to work hard, and being grateful for being a musician, where you can work 3 hours a day, and then the rest of the day you got the time to frolic. You know, and that was our life on ship. You know, I threatened those guys a little bit and told them I was gonna put them on blast, but I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna put those boys on blast. You know, we had our fun. You know, I can stay here talking to you guys for the next 2 hours about different situations that we had on ship. That was nothing but fun and just being crazy. Because, I mean, you working for 3 hours. I mean, what else is there to do? You know, ship life is like a floating resort. You know, we used to say ship life because it's a whole different life from living on land. And but like I say, what I take away from ship life and probably the most important thing that happened to me on ships was I met my wife on a ship. Yeah, I met my wife on a ship. Interestingly enough, you know, I met my wife on a ship. She and her mom was cruising at the time, and the mother came to me and she's like, let my daughter sing with you. She can sing. And I was like, can she sing? Because a lot of people would walk up to us and say they can sing, and when they open their mouth, it's something different. And she started singing. And I was like, okay, yeah, she can sing. And then she basically sang the whole cruise with us. You know, we were all just friends and cool. I think we exchanged numbers, but that was about it. And then, interestingly enough, a couple of years after, I ended up being in Anguilla, and then we kind of, you know, reconnected, which I'll tell you guys a little bit more about in part 6. But ship life was good, but interesting, but very challenging as well because you're away from family. Again, like I told you guys, I left my son 9 months old, so I had to be sending money back home. I had to be sending sometimes when I did the ship from Puerto Rico, I had to be sending diapers and pampers, not diapers, but pampers back home, and sending stuff back home. So it was very interesting, but very challenging too. And again, like I say, just living in Dominica in a different environment, different culture, and going on a ship and play. It's two different scenarios, two different ball game. But I enjoy every moment of it. So while I was on ship, I was faced with a situation where I had kidney stones, and I had to go. I had to stay off the ship for I think about a month. I had to go to the hospital and do some surgeries for kidney stones, and so that was successful. They got rid of most of the kidney stones. The rest I did when I left ship and I moved to Anguilla. I went back to Barbados to get the rest done. But that's kind of one of the reasons why I kind of didn't go back to ships. So it was one, medical, and two, after a while, after a while of being in the middle of the ocean and at 12 o'clock in the night, something about it wasn't quite right to me. I felt like, again, it was time to do something different. And when I started hearing in the grapevines that they were about to cut down the bands and have only 2 people go back to ships and that kind of stuff, I felt like it was another unique moment where the universe was talking to me. And so I went back home on vacation, and while I was home on vacation, I started to think of what else I want to do. My cousin Omani, who's like a brother to me, was in Anguilla. He kept telling me, "You should come to Anguilla. You should come to Anguilla. You should come to Anguilla." So I decided I was gonna do some vacation. So I went to St. Martin. I went by my boy Macfur. Big up to Macfur, shy guy in St. Martin. I stayed by him, I think, for 2 weeks, and then I was like, let me go over to Anguilla and check it out, because I was like, can St. Martin work for me? Then I was like, all right, let me go to Anguilla and see if that can work for me. I went over to Anguilla, and something about Anguilla just kind of clicked for me. It really kind of clicked for me, and there's an interesting story of the first 2 weeks when I got to Anguilla, which I'll tell you in part 6. But it's like I say, things just start to fall in place for me, and I figured to myself, you know what? This looks like a cool place to spend some time. And so I have been in Anguilla for 11 years. So part 6, we're gonna move into Anguilla, and we're gonna go from there. And it's gonna get really, really interesting. So again, thank you so much for joining me. This has been part 6 of Story of My Life. And again, like I said, please subscribe to my channel. Please hit the like button if you like the content that I'm posting, and look out for more content from me. Look out for more performances, look out for drum covers, look out for some more interesting stuff that I'll do on my channel. So again, thank you so much, and have a good one. God bless you.